Thanksgiving in Southern California. Time to get stuffed on basketball on ESPNU. It's Southern Illinois and Chattanooga. The players are getting ready for the Anaheim Classic. Welcome to the Anaheim Convention Center in Anaheim, California for ESPNU college basketball. Today, the number 18 Southern Illinois Salukis take on Chattanooga and the Mocs in Game 2 of the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. Hi, everybody. Steve Physiak along with Bob Wenzel. We've got Southern Illinois, one of the top teams in America, going against Chattanooga. They've had 6 days to prepare, and they're looking like this is a big game. What do you expect?
I expect big-time defense on the part of Southern Illinois. They are a lockdown defensive team, one of the top few in the country last year, and it's going to be difficult to score. The Mocs are averaging 99 in their first 2. They had 79 at Indiana and were ahead at halftime at Indiana. So they are a formidable opponent for the Salukis.
Then tell us about your Star Watch.
Well, I'll tell you what. Randall Falker is the player of the year in this conference. Defensive player last year on the Wooden Award list. He is an outstanding shot blocker and defensive player. Kevin Bridgewaters is the point guard for the Mocs, and the thing about him is he's got to control things when they get out of hand, and they can get out of hand when you're being pressured by Southern Illinois.
Well, let's take out the lineups. Southern Illinois, Matt Shaw is one of the most underrated players in the Missouri Valley Conference. Tony Boyle, good rebounder. Bryan Mullins, he's the glue. Leadership and defense will be his key. And Tyrone Green, he can lock it down on defense as well. For Chattanooga, the Mocs will go with Dawgs, who's a second-year starter. He's very physical. Hartwell needs to shoot the ball better. McDowell, he's a transfer from South Carolina, averaging 17 points per game this year. And Bridgewaters, the point guard. SIU is 1-0. They beat Northern Illinois last week. And Chris Lowery, he played for the Salukis, and he is an outstanding defensive mind.
Well, Lowery is a guy who was a terrific player, as you mentioned. And then, of course, when he was last year in the NCAA tournament, he got accolades from everybody in terms of the defense that they have been playing. And, of course, that is their signature. Kept people to 56 points per game last year.
Third lowest in college basketball. Meantime, John Schulman leading the Mocs in his 4th year. He loves the city of Chattanooga, lives on Lookout Mountain. Bridgewaters with the defense. Marcus Watts missing the 3. And in a battle for the basketball, it's Bryan Mullins with it. He is their leader. Well, this will be a little like Southern Illinois with a look at Mississippi State, because SIU, like Mississippi State in that first game, so physical. I mean, these guys, look at the upper body strength on them.
That comes with playing that D. I'll tell you got to be physical to play the kind of D they play, and they're very patient on the offensive end as well.
A travel on Matt Shaw, the 6'7", 240-pound senior from Centralia, Illinois. He has played outstanding basketball to start this year. 16 points in that first game.
There's Chris Lowery. I'll tell you what an interesting guy he is to be around, right? You know, 3 NCAA tournament appearances, all in his head coaching career. And then, of course, 29 wins last year, most in school history.
And picked to win the Missouri Valley Conference again.
Here's the pressure that's on the point guard. Tough.
And the steal by Shaw. He goes up, lays it up, and misses the shot, but will be at the foul line. Our officials, Mark Reisling, Terry Davis, and Brett Moe. And how about the keys to the game?
Well, for Southern Illinois, their lockdown D is their signature. Shaw's outside shot is important for this team because they need that. And, of course, we expect Randall Falker to patrol the paint at both ends of the floor. Shaw right here getting his first opportunity.
And he knocks it down, but we're talking about the strength, and they wanted to really praise their strength and conditioning coach, Eric Klein. He has this basketball team work out with the football team at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this guy looks like he could play defensive end. Makes one of two.
This is the pressure that Bridgewater's is going to face all night long. They want to double team. They want that double team to happen. Then they want to improvise out of it. But you got to go when you get it.
Chattanooga throws it away. So does Chattanooga want 4-on-3?
Yes, they do. And that's why they're inviting that trap. Schulman told us that yesterday. John, in his 4th season there, has done an excellent job. Their keys: attack the pressure and then come back on the double team. No Gordon again. And that is in reference to Eric Gordon, the Indiana freshman who had 33 on the mocks. Last time
said
out.
Eric Gordon was a joke. I mean, he was hitting like 25-footers, and he goes, how do you defend that?
John said he wanted to get his autograph after the game. Very amusing guy, isn't he, Coach Schulman?
Oh, very
guy
funny.
to be around.
And yet they led the Hoosiers at the half.
50-46.
SIU inbounds Randall Falker. He is 6'7", 245-pound senior from St. Louis, Missouri. Mullins bounces it down low, and Shaw will bring it back out.
Nice double team. The Mocs playing pretty good defense themselves.
Shaw hitting the outside jumper. That's a 2. So 3 possessions. That's the 4th possession. Now 3 turnovers for Tennessee Chattanooga, and that's not the way Schulman wanted to start this game.
No, coming off the screen, catch and launch. Perfect rotation on that play. Good execution. That requires 3 people: the screener, the passer, and the shooter. Coordinated effort. When the ball moves side to side, the defense has to make that many more adjustments. Makes it more difficult on the defense to do it that way.
Falker is double teamed. They swing it out top to Mullins. Wide open look for Shaw. He turns it down. And Mullins with the pull-up in the middle of the lane. He scores his first field goal. And Chattanooga looking to score. They have played almost 3 minutes and have not had a good look yet. A kicking violation against Southern Illinois. Chattanooga won 15 games last year, lost 18. They did lose 3 starters, but they expect to be right back there near the 20-win mark. As John Schulman said, his goal is to erase last season.
They win a lot at that school. I mean, you know, 15 wins is like a mortal sin at Chattanooga, and really, that's not a bad season.
But Chattanooga
last 5 years, Steve, 21, 19, 20, and 19, and then the last year was 15. So they are used to winning at this school.
Yeah, they have been to 4 straight championship games with Schulman. One of only 5 programs in the country to do that. They've got 8 seconds left in the shot clock. And look at the defense by SIU. They rotate so well. And Chattanooga now has added 5 possessions and turned it over 4 times.
Well, you're seeing evidence of the national ranking last year, and you mentioned this before. 3rd in the country behind Princeton and Air Force were the Salukis, and that man's the architect of pressure defense. John Schulman was kidding with us yesterday, and he said if you don't close out, which is a defensive technique, he takes your scholarship away.
But you've got to have guys who will buy into it, and they do.
Passing game offense. Only use the dribble when necessary. Don't put the ball on the floor until you have to. This also gets that point down. When you hold the ball that long, you shoot with under 5 to go on the shot clock. That doesn't give the other team that many possessions. And that also, besides their defense, that also leads to those low-scoring games.
An offensive foul leads to the turnover, and there is Randall Falker.
Hasn't had a haircut since 1957.
Now, wait a second. That doubles his age. He was the Missouri Valley Conference Defensive Player of the Year. First team all Missouri Valley. Played in the Pan Am Games this summer.
He can rebound and he can guard you.
Kieron Sheard now in the game, a 6'2" junior. They need some production. Just throw it away. They've got no offensive rhythm right now. Four minutes without scoring. Meantime, Joshua Bowen off the bench fills it up from outside. It's 8-0 Southern Illinois. And finally, Chattanooga fires from outside. It's Stephen McDowell, that transfer from South Carolina, with his first field goal. So it took him almost 4.5 minutes to score a field goal.
Stephen is a guy who is used to playing against big-time competition in the Southeastern Conference. He's going to be their leading scorer this year, I would guess.
Yeah, I beg your pardon. They've got one Stephen, one Stephen, and Stephen hit it from 3, and Southern Illinois has a 5-point lead. Mock fans trying to strike here at the Anaheim Classic. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. How about Chris Lowery, played for SIU in the early 90s and led the team to 86 wins and 4 straight postseasons as the team's point guard, only man ever to be a champion as a player and as a coach.
Pretty good historical stuff right there. Very insistent upon defensive fundamentals, and so far in this game we are witnessing it big time. The trap very much. Anytime there's a screen set near the top where the point guard is, they trap that screen. If you can get through it, now you're playing 4 against 3, which is really what you will want to try to do against their team.
Chattanooga has had little flow offensively because of that relentless pressure. Now SIU on the offensive side. Out of the top, it's Joshua Bone. Tony Boyle is playing, and he gets it down low to Falker, and he tries to swing it.
Look at these passes.
Green got a good look and misses the jump shot. Stephen McDowell, the 5'11" junior from Indianapolis, Indiana. A 3 is missed by Dawgs. Kevin Goffney coming into the game, and he committed his second personal foul on Kevin Goffney. That's a big loss. He goes to the sideline, averaging 13.5 points per game. 8 possessions in this game and 5 turnovers forced by that outstanding and relentless Southern Illinois defense. This time it's SIU turning the ball over. This is game 2 of this 4 games on day 1. The Anaheim Classic earlier. We saw UCI fall to Mississippi State. Matt Gwynn in the game.
Gives them some offense. Sorry, gives them some offense in the post. There he is.
Gwynn spinning. Nice move by Matt Gwynn. Well, you said he gave him some offense in the post, and we saw it immediately with a pretty fake to the right spin towards that baseline.
He's got the best moves on the team in there. Educated in geography of the paint.
And here's a look at the Anaheim Classic bracket. Mississippi State moving on. They'll find out who they'll play, either the winner of SIU Chattanooga and then Miami South Alabama go at 9:30. And on ESPN2, it'll be San Diego against O.J. Mayo and USC. I also have to mention Taj Gibson, who's a tremendous rebounder, a real inside force for the Trojans.
One of the top big men in the country. Pac-10 full of big men. Pac-10, most observers feel, is the #1 conference in the country this year. Hard to argue with it.
Yeah, they won their tournament without the guy that everybody features as the preseason All-American, Darren Collison, who has been injured. And they came from behind to beat Michigan State.
Westbrook did a good job in his place. And Kevin Love, among the best freshmen in the country.
He's had a double-double every single game. Here's Bridgewater's on the pull-up. Tried to get the bank to go in, tipped up and in nicely. Coming from the weak side to rebound it and tapping it in.
That was Q Waddell right there. He just came in on the last possession. Long lean.
Tell you, SIU has had some good looks, but they can't finish, and that's why Chattanooga going from an 8-0 deficit to cut it to 1.
Well, they're not a great offensive team, and they're missing their best offensive player who graduated last year, Jamaal Tatum. Right here. Keep that stuff away from me, will you?
That's a big loss because he was the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. Jamaal Tatum and Tony Young, that's an average of 25 points per game, and both made the all-defensive team. Traveling by Chattanooga. That's the 6th turnover by Chattanooga early in this game, and that concerns John Schulman.
Hey, let's go. We're good.
This will be a low-scoring game. In the 50s, the Mocs have to keep their presence about them.
A 7-0 run by Chattanooga. They can take their first lead right here. It's McDowell, and he is bumped by either Falker or number 15 on Southern Illinois, Brandon Wood, who came in off the bench.
Right here, Stephen McDowell. Good speed, good strength. Played at South Carolina, but didn't have the size height-wise to really play in that league at his position. More of a two-guard, you know, but he does have the speed and strength. Decided to transfer, and now having an excellent career at Tennessee Chattanooga.
He could be a difference maker this year in the Southern Conference. And some of the new Mocs with NCAA experience coming over from Alabama, Cloyd, Waddell from Maryland Eastern Shore, and from Nicholls State, Kevin Goffney. And Goffney averaging over 13, and McDowell over 17.
Goffney's got 2 fouls, and that takes away. He's sort of one of those swing guys, you know, plays out on the perimeter, slashes to the basket. So with 2 fouls, that takes away one of their options. They are small in the backcourt with Bridgewaters and McDowell right now.
A 9-0 run after Southern Illinois had shut out Chattanooga the game's first 4.5 minutes.
Keep your eye on the shot clock. See how long it takes to get a shot. They're very selective in their approach right here. Bone is a very good outside shooter. Had some history of injuries, but they are looking for him.
Mullins is fouled. Bridgewaters commits the personal as he grabbed Bryan as he rode by. Bryan Mullins, a 6'2" junior, Downers Grove, Illinois. Outstanding player. He was a coach's son. His father in finance, but he coached him for the AAU team, the Illinois Wolves, and he plays with that fundamental understanding of this game.
Yes, very solid. Freshman of the year when he first entered college.
Fay trying to bounce it down low. Instead, his man went to the post. He thought he would come out towards the baseline to accept it, and Fay with the turnover. And Chris Lowery a little concerned about the way his team is throwing the ball away. A lot of unforced errors early.
Chattanooga playing solid defense themselves. You talked a lot about the Salukis D. Here's the trap that they prefer and the rotation, and that's how you attack it. Go cross court. Clean shot, but nothing but air.
Marcus Watts missing it badly. Shaw for 3. In and out. Kieron Sheard now at the point. They get it to Hartwell, and look at this. Tremendous defensive stand, but fouling on the play. Looked like Matt Shaw got him from behind, but good passing by Chattanooga.
Well, this is what you do when you get trapped in the post. Get it to the high post, look to the weak side, and find your open man. That's doing it.
It's Thanksgiving time, and that means it's feast week on the ESPN family of networks. For 7 days, you'll see over 50 games showcasing most of the top-ranked teams across the country. From New York to Maui, Anchorage to Orlando, Kansas City to Anaheim, you can enjoy a banquet of college basketball. And speaking of banquets, Bob Wenzel, my partner, was having some dinner at Disneyland last night and taking on some turkey.
How about that? Mickey was there, everybody was there, all the players ate together. Very nice informal setting. Bob Boyd, who was the coach of both Southern Cal and Mississippi State at different times, was there enjoying the time. Wonderful. Nice that that was done last night. Organizers did a great job.
Bob Boyd, great gentleman. He is here today watching this game between Chattanooga and Southern Illinois. The Salukis have not scored in the game's last 4:40, and now Chattanooga has opened up a 2-point lead. It was 8-0, and Chattanooga has ripped off 10 straight points. Marcus Watts from Clinton, South Carolina, at the free throw line. John Shulman has to be pleased with the way his team has battled that relentless pressure early. Finally got comfortable, and they've come back to open up a 3-point edge on Southern Illinois, the number 18 team in the nation. Did you see John?
John was guarding him. They were trying to trap, you know, push the guy toward the sideline, and your coach will slap the basketball away.
He was moving right along with his defender up and down that sideline. He loves this game.
I'm impressed with the Mocs' defensive effort so far in this one. Their quickness is very evident in this game. Kind of a situation right now where Southern Illinois taking themselves out of their offensive flow. A lot of passing, some good looks that they've not looked at. Shaw is the guy that's likely to get them started, number 32. Falker is not a great offensive threat.
Mullins still has not hit a 3 in this ball game. Excuse me, he's hit 1 3, but he's taken 6 attempts. As a team, they're 1 of 6.
They trap every time that there is a screen. And what you need to do as a guard is string it out. Watch this now. There's going to be a trap situation, and he falls down simply right there. But you want to string that out, back up a little bit, and then pass through the trap and get a 4-on-3 situation. Best way to attack trapping defenses.
Mullins with the pull-up, gets the bank shot, and closes the Chattanooga lead to 1.
They are picking up full court on all situations right now, trying to get maybe some easy baskets on a quick turnover. Mullins trying to assert himself right now offensively.
Or they're letting him use the hands because he's had his elbow in the back of the Chattanooga offensive players.
You don't want to defense. Sorry, Steve. You don't want to screen all the time here.
Mullins with the steal and score.
Kieran Sheard really having a hard time. You know, he's a junior college player. This is his first exposure to this type of defense. He's a winner type player, but they need Bridgewater's back in.
And Bridgewater's has gone to the scorer's table to check back in. Chattanooga has a 13-12 lead as they score down low. Shaw posting up. There's the double. Timeout's been called. And timeout comes with 9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first half. The Moccasins coming from an 8-point deficit to lead by 1, but Bryan Mullins with the defense and keeping Southern Illinois in it. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU, and it continues tonight. First at 9:30 Eastern, the Miami Redhawks face the South Alabama Jaguars in the quarterfinals of the Anaheim Classic. Then at 11:30 Eastern, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers face the Gonzaga Bulldogs, led by freshman Austin Day. The Anaheim Classic and Great Alaska Shootout as part of Feast Week on ESPNU Thursday. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com.
Another mid-major last night. Butler beats Michigan soundly. A.J. Graves, if you haven't seen him, boy, he is fun to watch. He is college basketball's version of Steve Nash.
Southern Illinois with the basketball and missing the shot on that baseline runner. The Salukis accepting on the defense was Matt Gwynn, and he picks up his first personal foul.
Right here, an offensive foul right here. Good positioning by Gwynn in the right place at the right time. 6'10", 235. Really's got nice moves in the post. He is the guy that they need to rely on. Now the problem is getting him the ball because the pressure out on the floor is intense.
Joshua Bone with his first personal foul on that last one. And now there's the trap on Kevin Bridgewater's.
One of the things that you can do to combat pressure at the intensity level that you see when you play against Southern Illinois is a small guard like Bridgewater. Do not come out there and set a screen for him. Let him break down with his dribble around somebody. The problem is that Southern Illinois probably is the best individual man-to-man defensive team in the United States in terms of guarding their own guy.
Well, they can't get to 4-on-3, and you have Mullins and Falker both trapping Kevin Bridgewater's, and he had to fight his way through it. Finally, Mullins picks up the foul. I mean, look how physical they are. As John Shulman said, they foul you on every possession. It's just not always called.
Well, they can't call every. If they are fouling on every possession, they can't call all those fouls. But the screen is going to invite the trap every time. Here's a screen. There'll be another trap. He's picking up his dribble. You know, that's a little bit of a problem. Now, that's 3 fouls in a row, so the officials are calling them every single time. Now, this is very interesting and uncharacteristic in Southern Illinois games. Right here, he's using it. He invites the trap. He picks up his dribble. And usually these are not called fouls. Mullins wanting a jump ball. Chris Lowery upset about the situation.
And Mullins has to come out now. And Chris upset as Joshua Bone comes back in.
Well, when you play aggressive defense, if the game is being called tightly, as this is being called, then you have to understand that and back off a little bit and not trap so close. Take 1 step off, keep trapping, but be 1 step off your man.
Once again, they are completely suffocating Kevin Bridgewater's on this possession. Yes, 2 fouls, but now they force the turnover. Boy, that has to be so frustrating on a point guard.
Kevin is only 5'9", and his name has a lot of letters in it. It's hard to fit on that uniform. That wears you out, too. You're right.
The Salukis down by 1.
Boy, we're getting whistles on whistles. Now this is interesting psychologically for officials. When they start calling a bunch of fouls at one end like they did before on the last possession, there's a tendency subconsciously for them to do that at the other end as well. And I think we saw that right there. Didn't look like much of a foul.
John saying, hey, we don't play their physical style of defense. It must have been an offensive foul.
I remember one time I was coaching and I told the official, I said, look at the scoreboard. You know, the fouls are 17-3. He said, tell your guys to stop fouling.
Well, there is Randall Falker, who knows how to play some defense, the top defensive player in the Missouri Valley Conference. They're picked to win the Missouri Valley again this year, and they are outstanding at home. Unbeaten, 13 wins, no losses last year. Went to their 6th straight NCAA tournament.
And, of course, the Mocs from the Southern Conference, where Davidson is the lead team in that league.
Falker cannot finish. He will be at the free throw line for 2 shots. Southern Illinois coming off a victory over Northern Illinois, where they won by 20. And our mid-major poll will certainly Southern Illinois is one of the top teams in the country. We're seeing a lot of mid-majors really step up.
Well, a few years ago, George Mason made the Final Four. Here's the mid-major poll that most people are looking at. Gonzaga and Southern Illinois and Butler and Davidson, certainly terrific teams. George Mason's still in there. Winthrop, who made a great run, and then St. Mary's, who you saw the other night. Patrick Mills had 37 against Oregon in that big upset. So certainly West Coast teams represented.
And the Ducks, the number 11 team in the nation, and by far the best player on the floor, was the 19-year-old freshman from Australia, Patrick Mills. Meantime, Chattanooga trying to reclaim the lead. They cannot. Green to Bone. Shaw tried to get it to Faulkner. Instead, it was a teammate cutting through and picking that ball off Carlton Fay, and he misses.
Out of control.
Watts throws it away.
Out of control. Watts, where are you going?
And, you know, it just seems like Southern Illinois, when the game is out of control, they're enjoying it.
They force you to get out of control, huh?
Yep.
They want to play 5-on-5 half court.
That's a travel.
Yeah, clearly.
Second time that Matt Shaw has traveled in this game, and Chris Lowery unhappy. Southern Illinois leading by 2 over Chattanooga. On California Screamin', you'll twist, turn, and loop on this state-of-the-art steel roller coaster that will bring you back to the magic of wooden coasters from yesteryear. By the time you arrive back at the pier, you'll agree that California Screamin' is the ride of the century, only at Disney's California Adventure. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. And did you see those fans from SIU? They had the same focus and determination as the defenders for Chris Lowery.
Well, I was walking to the hall in between games to go to the bathroom, and they double-teamed me on my way in there. Field goal's not so great so far, and both teams turning it over at too much of a rate, mainly due to the heavy-duty pressure that both teams are actually putting on. Sheared back in. He had trouble before against the traps. Let's see if he's learned anything.
And here comes the trap.
That's perfect.
They swing it to the right. They missed the three, but they had a good look, and Matt Shaw grabs the miss. Chattanooga staying in the man defense. Done a nice job defending the post. Randall Falker has not had many looks. Shot clock down to 11 seconds. Good D. Falker's got to take the shot. Instead, it's Bone with 1 second left in the shot clock. Misses. That's great defense by the Mocs for 35. Bad pass by Matt Gwynn through the defense.
Last time the cross-court pass was wise because there was a double team, so somebody's open. You don't throw cross-court passes when you're not double teamed.
There's the double down low by Chattanooga on Falker. Matt Shaw missing the three. Gwynn rebounding.
We are seeing Brick City right now. Neither team getting, even when they do get quality shots, I think they're extending themselves so much defensively. No legs in the shot, especially from deep. Two clean threes.
Might be a little tired from the defense they're playing, and now a foul will occur, and Sheeran will be at the free throw line. He was sheared off by his defender.
Well, Keyron from Red Bank, New Jersey, played at Cecil Community College along with Q Waddell. They were teammates there. Sheard gives them some experience, a lot of winning experience. Very competitive individual.
And he knew how to make his bigs happy because over the 2 years at JC, he averaged 10 assists per game.
Yikes. Pretty good looking stroke at the free throw line. Nice rotation.
He's averaging just 6 minutes per game. Chattanooga came in with a 1-1 record, beating Covenant College by a bundle, almost by 60, but then losing at number 8 Indiana 99-79.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they were ahead at halftime in that game, but the score was big numbers, 50-46. And then, of course, Eric Gordon got a lot of pub because it was 33 points, but John Schulman told me he just absolutely covered his point guards and they couldn't move. So Gordon obviously has some defensive abilities as well.
Now Southern Illinois down by 1 to Chattanooga. The Mocs have done a great job staying with this tough defense. Faulkner misses, grabs his own miss, and it goes out of bounds, and it'll still belong to the Salukis. But he has had a rough time finishing shots. He's 0 for 4 in this game. Sheard almost got the steal. He does get it, and McDowell fires it ahead, and they lose the basketball to Goffney. Goffney saved it. Boy, it looked like McDowell. He had to make a better pass, and they'd have an easy 2. That time he read where they were trying to trap and dribbled back out.
The backup dribble, very vital against double teaming pressure.
McDowell spins, shoots, misses the shot.
That was a 10 on the scale of degree of difficulty shots right there.
Yep.
McDowell trying to get through the trap with a spin move. Very unbalanced.
Bone hits the 3. And Southern Illinois back in front by 2. Shaw knocks it out of bounds, so Southern Illinois will be back on defense, and Chattanooga down by 2 points.
Bone gets a clean shot right here, and he is a good outside shooter. Nice rotation. I mean, pretty dead ball, really, on that one. He was injured last year, missed the first 9 games. with a foot injury and then had a shoulder problem this year, so he's never really had a situation where he's played a full season and gotten into his rhythm, but they need his scoring.
Yeah, they don't really have that many athletes that can stretch the defense, and Bowen can do that. That's an offensive foul called against Chattanooga. An important time of this game, Bob, because Chattanooga was down 8 early, made a terrific comeback to get it back in this game and took a 3-point lead. And now they're down just by 2 points. They can say, hey, we've held Southern Illinois to 18.
Well, there's a few things that work right here. You know, sometimes when you're used to scoring a lot of points and you get in a game like this, it makes you uncomfortable because it's unusual for you. And I haven't really seen that with Chattanooga. I mean, they're getting after it at this end of the floor, playing solid D. They are struggling, getting a little out of control in their fast break situations. That's been their problem.
They work it over to Sheard. He has the dribble.
Sheard has the quickness to go by people.
Stephen McDowell again trapped along the sideline, steps on the sideline and loses it out of bounds, and that is now turnover number 13 on John Shulman's Mox. Tough time against this tough defense from SIU. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. Pressure defense. Gotta love this.
That's the name of the game in this one right here. Anytime that there is a screen on the ball, you will see a trap against the Salukis. They fouled frequently in these situations, eventually got a turnover. Kevin Bridgewater's really having to work in this game, and that's why we talked about him being one of the keys. You step on the sidelines. Sometimes it's better not to experience and not to get a screen.
Even the fans have bought into Chris Lowery's style. ESPN experience Salukis pressure D now.
There have been 34 points scored in this game, and there have been 21 turnovers in the game. A little bit unusual statistic. And yet, Chattanooga down only 2 against the 18th ranked team in the country. They have some traps of their own. Half-court trap.
Falker throws up and finally scores his first field goal of the ball game. He is 1 for 4 from the floor, and he powered that one up. In time, Q Watts, or Marcus Watts on Q Waddell. Marcus Watts is a 6'7", 215-pound senior. And Dawgs, who's back in the game, Nikias Dawgs, misses on the rebound opportunity, and he lost it off his left hand out of bounds. Southern Illinois has been up by as many as 8. Now they're up 4, and they have the ball. Well, they've got as many turnovers as field goal attempts. Yikes. They only made 16 turnovers in their loss to Indiana. That's a blocking foul against the defense, and it's Dawgs, the guilty party. Second foul for Dawgs.
We haven't seen a lot of offense out of Boyle in this one yet, and this guy has some offensive abilities. Dawgs, of course, an interior player with experience, has to go to the bench with those fouls. But Boyle last year, 14 points in the Holy Cross win during the NCAA tournament, and of course Shaw got hurt, as you remember, last year, and he played in those games and did very, very nicely. Has a pretty good offensive game.
Yeah, you wonder if Southern Illinois beats Kansas University if Matt Shaw is completely healthy.
Well, you know, and you can say that about a lot of games too.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, and that's part of the deal, obviously, right? You know, but yeah, possibility they only lost by 3. Yeah.
They had that turnover late in that game, and the Kansas Jayhawks won. The KU Jayhawks have a huge game tonight. Kansas against Missouri. Could be for the national championship on who goes. KU wins that game and wins the Big 12 title game. From the right side, missing the 3 is McDowell. That game is Saturday, excuse me. Saturday is KU in Missouri. Just feels like Saturday because we're calling college basketball. Only this weekend we've got like 50 games on ESPNU. We've got 12 in this tournament. 4 on Thursday, 4 on Friday, and 4 on Sunday. Here's Gwynn on that drive. Got it back, kicks it out of bounds, and Southern Illinois has it. They can tie their biggest lead with a field goal here, Bob.
The problem, of course, is that because it's such a low-scoring game and points are so hard to come by, when you get a 6 or an 8-point lead in a game like this, it's like a 15-point lead.
Boyle there to tap it in.
That's the guy I was talking about. He's a guy who can put points on the board. 6'8", 235. Weak side positioning was very good there.
Hartwell. It's still Southern Illinois on a 9-0 run the last 3.5 minutes. And finally, Chattanooga with some good rhythm to their offense.
Passing out of the trap, touch passes result in a good quality shot. And, of course, the foul. So the opportunity knocking for Khalil Hartwell as he goes to the free throw line.
He's one of the rare starters back. John Schulman with so many newcomers this year. They lost 3 starters from a 15 and 18 team a year ago. And Hartwell was one of the starters who came back, and Dokes the other.
Not much of a threat offensively, but runs the floor, blocks some shots.
Not good, missing both foul shots.
That was almost an air ball.
I mean, when you finally get an open look against Southern Illinois, you've got to knock it down.
Yeah, and that causes mental anguish with a lot of players as well.
I think Falker may have pushed off. Let's see if it goes against him. Yes, it will. And for Randall, that will be personal foul number 2.
Little push off right there. You don't have to do a lot, and the officials who officiate the game well will see the extended arm. And as soon as that, a light goes on and they blow the whistle.
Bridgewater's back in the game. They really trapped him beautifully last time he was in the contest here in the first half, forcing several turnovers. Now the trap occurs again.
It's not only the trap, but the 2 guys trapping are one thing, and then the other 3 players have to anticipate where the next pass is going and get there.
They swing it to Bridgewater's. Boy, they rotate their defense beautifully. 7 seconds left in the shot clock.
2 open shots that they did not take.
He caught the ball when he was out of bounds. And Marcus Watts trying to drain it from outside. It will not count. He had his foot on the sideline. That's 15 turnovers. Watch the left foot. Oh, he stepped off.
Bad call. He wasn't out of bounds when he touched the ball.
Boyle high-low to Falker, and he misses the shot. Battles for his miss and goes out of bounds with a basketball. But a tough game for Randall Falker. He is now 1 of 6 from the floor.
Well, as we watch this, the ball is in the air. Well, I don't know.
Maybe
Hard to tell. Hard to tell.
Mark Reichling's one of the best officials in the Pac-10 conference. And he thought when it touched his hand, his basketball shoe was on that sideline. And right now, Southern Illinois, who went up 8-0 to start this game, then saw Chattanooga come back to take a 3-point lead. The Salukis now have their biggest lead of the game at 9 points. It can be 10. It'll stay at 9 because of the miss by Falker. Marcus Watts. Lloyd with the 3 outside. 30 seconds to play in the first half, and SIU, there's very little separation in game clock and shot clock, so they can take the final shot of the half. Bone will take the 3 instead with 17 left, and Falker gets the rebound and puts it back up and in. Timeout called by Chattanooga. They want one good shot before going to the break. But rebounding by Falker pays off here.
Well, activity on the offensive boards, land and go right back up before people can gather themselves. Falker doing a great job there.
Randall's grandmother is here, Erlene Falker, here to watch her son on Thanksgiving Day. Then she'll prepare the turkey and probably have the whole team over tonight.
Well, he's a very interesting character. You know, he designed the logo for the front of their media guide this year. He's got lots of different interests. Very highly intelligent young man.
A communications design major. He sang tenor in the high school choir, and now he's grabbing rebounds here in Anaheim.
A Renaissance man.
You bet. Coming up at halftime, preview tonight's games, 2007 players to watch, highlights and stats as well. And that's the end of the first half. Southern Illinois in front, led by Chris Lowery. His Salukis have a 27-19 edge on the Chattanooga Mocs, the number 18 team in the nation, looking strong. Their defense, as usual, outstanding. And Bryan Mullins leading the way. It's the Salukis at halftime of the Anaheim Classic. Time to get goofy in Southern California. It's the first annual Anaheim Classic college basketball. 12 games in the next 4 days. And we're seeing one of the top teams in America, number 18 Southern Illinois. They have a 27-19 lead on Chattanooga. 4 games today. Steve Fiziak along with Bob Wenzel. We've got Miami going up against South Alabama. You've got to like that contest. Some veteran coaches going at it.
Absolutely. And Tim Politz, who is a very, very good player. And, of course, Southern California later on. Earlier this week, Miami had a home game against Xavier. And this game was fantastic for them because they've been knocking on the door on big-time opponents. And Politz was a man inside. 6'5", 235, plays the power forward for Coles' team, and they mobbed the floor after the game. A big win. Nearly beat Oregon last year. He was a first-team All-MAC player last year. And then, of course, one of the outstanding guards for South Alabama is Demetric Bennett. Ronnie Arrow in his first year as the return coach to South Alabama. And they have some dynamic backcourt players.
And the final game of the day will be a good one because San Diego in town to take on USC. And that means the fabulous freshman O.J. Mayo, a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, and he hasn't stopped shooting since he got to Southern California, I'll tell you that. First game took 27 shots. Very outstanding player. Obviously goes to the basket very well. Can shoot the outside jumper. Has a good feel for the game. Teammates like to play with him. He's one of these guys that got all kinds of publicity before entering college. And, of course, when he was in Huntington High School, that's what he did there. And then, of course, 3 games this season. This is what he's done in Division I. Pretty good numbers for a freshman, huh?
But still, that USC team is very, very young. And a lot of people thought they could win this tournament, but they're still growing up. And I think November, December will be a find out how good we are time for Tim Floyd.
Well, Daniel Hackett is a guy that Tim Floyd likes a lot. And, of course, they have the inside play of Taj Gibson. Lewis has been tremendous so far for them. They got a big win at South Carolina the other day. So they're formulating their plan now.
Right now, we've got the Anaheim Classic. It's the inaugural Anaheim Classic. We're seeing one of the top defenses in America, Southern Illinois. And they've opened up a 27-19 lead on Chattanooga. Quarterfinal round of the Anaheim Classic. Southern Illinois, the number 18 team in the nation, with a 27-19 lead over the Chattanooga Mocs. Steve Fiziak, Bob Wenzel back with you. When Bob gave his keys to victory, you said lockdown D, and SIU has forced 15 mock turnovers.
That's unbelievable. And of course, it's what we expected to see. And their reputation precedes them in the sense of them being a great defensive team. Everybody in college basketball knows it. And this is what it looks like up close and personal. Jumping in the passing lanes. Now watch Kevin Bridgewater's right here. He gets trapped by a big guy and a small guy. He's having to fight his way through this trap. This is all in the same possession. Next time he goes over, they trap him again, almost in the same spot. Then they trap him on the sideline. Kevin is now having a headache. And when that happens, you turn the basketball over. And, of course, you mentioned 15 turnovers leading to all of those baskets. It is only an 8-point lead. So the Mocs have an opportunity to get that back in it. They had a spurt where they scored 8 points in the first half. When they were struggling, they got back right into the game. So that's a possibility for them.
They don't mind 39% shooting because they're defending so well. The opponent's only shooting 31%, the Mocs, and forcing turnovers, and that usually results in easy baskets.
Yeah, 20 to 27 points off Chattanooga turnovers for the Salukis, and that's what it's all about. Randall Falker is the guy, really, whose man is setting the high picks, and he's the one who's jumping out on those situations, and he really keeps a wide stance. He gets his hands out wide, keeps things going. Now, mentally, for the Mocs, that's their biggest challenge in this game. You look up at the scoreboard, and there's only 19 points, and you say, my goodness, what's going on here? So it'll be interesting to see if they make any adjustments. Kevin Bridgewater's really had a lot to do in the first half as the point guard on this team. I think it's more advisable to use your backup dribble to back out of those traps, then pass the ball over or through the trap to create 4-on-3 situations. They did not do that.
Well, here go the Salukis in the second half, opening with Falker at the post with Matt Shaw. Bryan Mullins out there as well, and Tony Boyle gets a field goal here. Also in the game, Tyrone Green for Southern Illinois and Chattanooga. They will start the second half with Khalil Hartwell, Nikias Dokes, Marcus Watts, Kevin Goffney, and Kevin Bridgewaters.
Well, Mullins, the point guard, he got into some foul trouble in this game. This is a good stop in the lane. Avoid the charge-type play. He did take over, scored a couple of baskets in a row. His defense is his calling card, and as the point guard, he's the spearhead of that D for this team. Bryan Mullins, outstanding defensive player.
Sat 9 minutes. Stephen McDowell in the game for Chattanooga. Here's Watts from the corner, and Marcus missing the shot. They try to spread the defense, and when they trap the other side, they swung it for a good shot, but they need to knock down those threes.
Exactly, and they did get a good shot there. Frustrating team to play against, no doubt about that.
It almost seems like when you accept the basketball, you're in a poor rhythm where you can't get your feet settled for the shot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Simple roll down right here. Push him. Falker going to get to go to the line right here.
Dokes' third foul, and Falker at the free throw line.
You're never going to get glowing stats with Southern Illinois' team because defense is the name of it. And well, you know, a lot of times people say, well, the guy's a really good defensive player. Here are his steals. Well, there's a lot to defense that doesn't have to do with steals or block shots, namely positioning, making your man miss, creating turnovers, and that's what their situation is. They're not going to have offensive glowing stats anytime that I can see.
Chris Lowery told us this team bought into the defensive philosophy. They're more interested in stops and shutouts. They just take great pride in defense over their offense.
And there's a block shot right there.
And hitting the three outside for Chattanooga's big number 34, Nikias Dokes, the 6'7" junior from Trenton, Tennessee. Chattanooga actually had a 16-15 lead with 5:49 to go in the first half, but Southern Illinois then finished the half on a 12-3 run. And here they go inside, and Tyrone Green fills it up, and the lead is now 11 for the Salukis. First 2 points of the game for Tyrone Green.
Now watch the other guys away from the trap. They have to anticipate where the next pass is going, and they do it well.
This time from the weak side, Hartwell helps out with the tip-in. He's got 4. Mullins defended by Kevin Bridgewaters.
Falker always looking to be a passer when he catches the ball.
Shaw coming off the screen, missing the shot. And Dokes with the rebound. Stephen McDowell all the way. Left hand blocked by Shaw beautifully.
And to block that shot without fouling is what he does very, very well right here. This is a 1-on-3. Ill-advised play by McDowell. Why drive in a situation like that? Slow up at the free throw line. Let your players come to you and try to get an open shot. They maintained possession, but it was not an intelligent play.
Watts giving it up to the new man who just came in off the bench, Maurice Cloyd, sophomore from Mendenhall, Mississippi.
Transfer from Alabama.
Good rebound by the Mocs, but I believe they stepped on the end line and turned the ball over. Oh, no, they're saying it was last touched by Southern Illinois, so the Mocs will get it.
New shot clock as well.
Watts misses the three. Rebounding Green. Mullins slides it down low. Beautiful feed to a dunking Randall Falker.
That was an educated play. Falker held his man off beautifully, and Mullins needs a bounce pass here. Very low to the ground. Excellent fundamental play right there.
That bounce pass was between three defenders.
Notice the space between Falker and the basket. There was no one there. He posted his man higher in the lane, which is what you want to try to do.
So SIU has opened up a 35-24 lead over Chattanooga. The steal by Mullins. And they're beginning to pull away. And as you talked about earlier, a lead like this looks like it's 20.
Yeah, it really is. And when you get ahead, it's so hard to get a clean shot against them. It takes so long to get a clean shot against them that you get discouraged. And that's what's happening to Chattanooga right now.
Well, one of the leaders of the team beginning to take over. Chris Lowery talked about the work ethic of Bryan Mullins. He's a gym rat, takes about 500 shots a day, and then probably spends the rest of the day either doing studies because he's a 4-point student or in the weight room.
I think he works on his defensive stance, too, before he goes to bed at night.
A steal by Tyrone Green. He will wind up with the foul line for 2 shots. But I think Chris Lowery has to like the way his team made the adjustments after breaking their come out and executing their game plan.
Well, this kind of defense has cumulative effect on you. Right here, 2 easy breakaways in a row. Pressure defense, an ill-advised pass out of a trap, and the man anticipating in the lane, and that's the anticipation required. Tyrone Green takes care of business.
Sheared with his 2nd personal foul, so Southern Illinois beginning to take over in this game. 38-24 leaders. They won 29 games last year, a school record. They won the Missouri Valley Conference, but lost to Kansas in the regional semifinal just by 3 points.
And of course, Jamaal Tatum, the player of the year. Tony Young, also an outstanding player on that team, but everybody else back.
Mullins with a he is struggling with the dribble. That was one of those where you go, is there grease in the basketball? And there's there grease in the floor because I'm slip-sliding away. Right now, Southern Illinois slip-sliding away from Chattanooga. Salukis lead by 14. Saluki fans enjoying this one. Chattanooga down by 14 points because of that tough defense. But they have taught it for a long time at Southern Illinois. How about the coaching trio?
Well, Bruce Weber, of course, now at Illinois, started this off. He was there from '98 to 2003. And then Matt Painter, his assistant, now at Purdue. Chris Lowery did not go off to a Big Ten school last year, decided to stay, and got a very nice contract to do so. And seems very settled there in Carbondale. Played there and loves coaching there.
Seems like defense has always been the theme in Carbondale. You can go all the way back to the great coach Jack Hartman, who was a great defensive coach, and he and Walt Frazier won the NIT championship on defense and clutch play.
1967 in Madison Square Garden.
Shaw tried to get it inside, and his teammate turned away and did not see, but the pass is picked up by Southern Illinois. We've got a TV timeout this time. It's Southern Illinois with a 38-24 lead over John Schulman's Chattanooga Mocs. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. And I believe they are stuffed with defense right now from SIU.
No doubt about that. Lots of trapping defense, making it very difficult on all of the players, especially point guard Kevin Bridgewater. And when Bridgewater gets into those trap situations, it's hard for him to see over it at only 5'9".
He's got to make sure that when he picks up his dribble, he's giving it up immediately to an open man.
Yeah, if not, he's in deep trouble.
And he has been, and they have suffered 17 turnovers as a team, and now Southern Illinois has opened up their biggest lead at 16 points. Randall Falker has 14 of those points to go with 5 rebounds. And there is the 18th turnover by Chattanooga.
Relentless man-to-man pressure, switching when necessary, trapping on every interchange of the ball, anticipating where the next pass will go, alertness by 5 guys all at the same time. Beautiful to watch.
And for Chris Lowery, he's saying, you know what, there's beauty in an ugly game. When he makes it ugly, it's a beautiful thing for that man.
Well, most of the points they're getting in this game are coming from turnovers. They got 23 already. And, of course, this is their classic way of operating. And that's why they win championships. So, you know, the old saying that offense sells tickets and defense wins championships.
You got that right.
They go by that.
If you just counted their points off turnovers, they'd be within 1. They are so creative, and they have just been pounding the ball down low as well, outscoring Chattanooga 20-6 in the paint. Here's Sheard. He'll miss the shot. There's just no rhythm to Chattanooga. And remember, Chattanooga's a very young team. They lost 4 games at the buzzer last year, last 3 starters. John Schulman had several transfers coming in, so he's got guys getting comfortable. And that's why he was very encouraged about playing these 3 games in 4 days to get some rhythm to his team and see different styles of defense and offense.
Well, you talk about 2 games. He's played Indiana at Indiana. He's playing Southern Illinois on neutral court. That's not exactly the way to start off with success.
I don't think John made out the schedule.
Athletic director must not like him that much.
A 10-0 Southern Illinois run. Matt Gwynn missing the 3, but a foul will be called.
Well, sometimes you just take a shot out of desperation, and Gwynn, that was the category of that shot right there. You feel lucky to just get a shot off. Trying to communicate with one another right here. You know, you talked earlier about how coming to this tournament and what it would mean to different teams. And of course, they will have to bounce back after a game like this where they can practically hardly breathe. You know, they pick you up when you're in your own locker room. You know, that's a tough kind of thing to bounce back from mentally, especially with, as you've enumerated, the new players on this team. So it'll be interesting to see what they do tomorrow. Not that this game is over yet. I mean, there's a long way to go. But their response to this kind of pressure will be very interesting for their development.
They may be able to breathe tomorrow when they play in that game, and it may come a little easier. But this is a team that John Schulman has, and in the Southern Conference North Division, they are picked to finish 4th. That's behind Greensboro, Appalachian State, and West Carolina. So they're not yet considered upper division, but John Schulman demands that they get to that upper division because they've been very successful in the past. He's built a tradition there.
15 wins last year, but the years before that, 19, 20, 19, and 21. So they're used to winning. In the Southern Conference, of course, Davidson is the key member there in terms of NCAA and rankings and so on. So they'll have to play them as well.
Del Curry's son, Stephen Curry, the star for Davidson. Matt Shaw looking for an opening. This is Carlton Fay hitting the outside jumper. That's a 3 from the 6'8" freshman.
Notice the stance of the players. Everybody's down, butts low, close to the ground.
It looked like Fay hurt his knee.
Yeah.
He got caught up in that screen on the left side, and you could see his left leg turn awkwardly.
Well, I think he hurt it at the other end when he shot the 3. Watch this. Let's see if we can see it. Goes up for the shot, gets a nice clean look. When he comes down, he's kind of limping right there.
Oh, yeah,
you're right. Hurt him right there, and then it got magnified at the other end. He's trying to push off on that knee and couldn't do it.
So Fay will come out of the game. You know, it might be the left ankle. He does have the knee wrap, but he sprained his left ankle in his last game. Right now, you just kind of hope it's that, because
well, once you sprain an ankle, it's easier to sprain it again. You can't go quite as far. Right here, he's pushing off right here. No, it's hard to tell.
And Chris Lowery did not have Wesley Clemens available, who was a Missouri Valley Conference all-bench team player last year, because he has a left ankle problem.
I like that all-bench team, huh?
I like it. You know what? Where guys are recognized for their play off the bench.
Indeed. It's more than a five-man game most of the time.
Hey, John Havlicek is in the Hall of Fame for being maybe the greatest sixth man of all time.
Yeah, the famous Celtic and an Ohio State grad. Well, you know, you can use sixth men in different ways. Usually you want a sixth man who's a very good scorer, because you start the game out, and if things aren't going well your way, you throw that guy in there, and, you know, he ignites and becomes a microwave type player. The other thing is you can use a sixth man as a defensive stopper as well.
McDowell lays it in, and Havlicek, I remember he explained it by, I could sit on the sideline and watch what the defense was doing, and maybe I could add to that or take it away, go out there, and he could contribute even greater. But you have to have a thinking guy out there who's going to come off the bench.
Yeah, and he also has to understand his role, which is the key to all coaching. And
they usually, the good ones, finish the game anyway, and that's what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Kevin Goffney picks up his 4th personal foul. He came in averaging 13.5 points, and Goffney has been completely shut down in this game. He has not scored.
Well, this is new to him. Pratt, Kansas Community College, first year Division I. Tough way to break in at Indiana, and then against the best defensive team in the country, perhaps.
Shaw 2 of 4 from three-point range. Southern Illinois by 20 at the 12.5-minute mark of this game. At one time, Chattanooga led by 1, but that was at 16-15 midway through the first half. Timeout on the floor, and college basketball on ESPNU continues with action from 2 tournaments. First at 9:30 Eastern, the Miami Redhawks face the South Alabama Jaguars in the quarterfinals of the Anaheim Classic. Then at 11:30 Eastern, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers face the Gonzaga Bulldogs, led by freshman Austin Day. The Anaheim Classic and Great Alaska Shootout is part of Feast Week on ESPNU Thursday. Gonzaga again picked to win that West Coast Conference. Josh Heitfeld is back, ready to play, and here's Dawgs missing his shot.
Well, Day, the son of Darren Day, the UCLA player. That is a shot clock violation. Mark Few's team loaded again.
Lowry's team has forced 20 Chattanooga turnovers. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. And it's a banquet of college hoops, but you know, you look around and you've got so many people who work security, who also help clean up the building and make sure it runs perfectly at the Anaheim Classic. And they've given up their holiday. They'd love to be with their families, but talking to so many of them, they love sports. They were not only talking to us about this basketball game, but also about the baseball team that's of local interest, the Angels, who picked up Torrey Hunter today. And I had 4 security guards come over and say, hey, how about the Angels, Torrey Hunter? Big time.
Good news.
We'll hear more about that on ESPN News. We've got Green on the floor going with Joshua Bone, 2 very fine outside shooters, and here is Joshua Bone stretching the defense, missing the 3. Rebounding is Khalil Hartwell. Marcus Watts pulls over his opponent. No foul called. No blood, no foul. Somebody got hurt there.
Well, John Schulman's not happy about that one. He felt a hip check was involved in that play right there.
Yeah, but there wasn't any high sticking. I didn't see it. Let's update the Salukis keys that you said they had to do to be successful against John Schulman's Mocs.
Well, the lockdown D is what they are into, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Chris Lowery's group have been spectacular at the defensive end. The traps have been effective. The anticipation after the traps, so the lockdown has been there. Shaw's outside shot not there so much. Early in the game it was, and then of course Falker, establishing him, has been good. 14 points and 5 boards. So they have entered with a game plan, and their keys have been certainly unlocked, and the locks have been unlocked with those keys, huh?
And they have held a moccasin team that came in with a lot of offense to just 28 points.
They scored 79 against the University of Indiana at Indiana last week. So certainly the defense of Falker and his teammates very much in evidence in this one. Intelligent, intense, all of those nice words describe this team.
Bryan Mullins at the point, working against Kevin Bridgewater's. Nice move by Tony Boyle, but he cannot finish. That is, he hit it too hard off the glass and bounced it to the other side. A foul against Mullins. That is his 3rd personal in this game.
Chris Lowery's team does something unusual also. As we see, he's the youngest head coach each of the last 3 seasons participating in the NCAA tournament. But their point guard, most point guards get back for defensive balance. When the other team shoots and is bringing the ball in bounds, their point guard comes right up on him, you know, and somebody else is responsible for getting back. Therefore, they can bring their pressure sooner in the possession. Unusual.
Yeah, they're so well coached the way they recognize when to trap, and they've done it so beautifully, forcing 21 turnovers by Chattanooga.
You get nothing easy against this team. You know, a lot of times you get some easy baskets in 2 ways. Fast break situations, they take that away from you. And then offensive rebounding. That will be an interesting thing when they play against more athletic teams, whether they're able to keep them off the boards.
They are the class of the Missouri Valley Conference, expected to outduel teams like Bradley and Creighton this year at Missouri State. And a whistle and a foul will be called this time against Southern Illinois. SIU, of course, with Bradley, with Jim Less, they've got a good one in Daniel Ruffin. And it was interesting, Missouri State has picked 3rd, 4th. Chris Lowery said, you know what, Creighton still has Dana Altman, so as long as they have Dana, they're going to be pretty good.
Very experienced coach. Lowery has respect for Dana. Dana last year flirted around with leaving and decided to come back. And a lot of the Missouri Valley coaches now getting bigger bucks than they have in the past. The Missouri Valley Conference, other than the BCS leagues, is really the highest rated league. Last year, getting more teams in the NCAA tournament. So the Valley has established itself clearly in the basketball world.
It will be interesting what goes on at Wichita State. Mark Turgeon has gone to Texas A&M, and Wichita State's Greg Marshall takes over, and also at Illinois State, Tim Jankovich, who played for Jack Hartman years ago, is now the new coach at Illinois State. Now going down hard is Nikias Dawgs. He cannot finish, and Southern Illinois takes over. They have held Chattanooga to 28 points over 30 minutes of this game.
Well, the interesting thing about that is Chattanooga had 19 at halftime, so the second half has been disaster.
Only 3 field goals in the second half. Mullins shoves the opponent away, no foul call, and here is Green in the lane, missing the shot, getting his own rebound, taking it back up, having it swatted away by Dawgs.
Notice how quickly they pick the basketball up. Somebody is always on it.
Chattanooga, they've got a rough schedule. I mean, they play Tennessee in a game you can watch on ESPNU on December 4th, and then they open the Southern Conference January 3rd at Wofford. I think the big game for John will be on January 10th when they take on UNC Greensboro, who's expected to win that Southern Conference North Division.
Well, Tennessee, you mentioned before, Pearl has done a great job there, and you talk about a different style. They are frenetic. If Southern Illinois plays great defense in terms of man-to-man fundamentals, Tennessee plays great defense. They trap, they play full court. You get a lot of easy baskets, but they're running. So instead of the games being in the 50s, the games are in the 90s with Tennessee. And it's a different style. So it doesn't give you a headache as much, but you have to keep up with their pace.
And obviously, Tennessee has some great shooters.
Oh, yeah. Juwan Smith and, of course, Lofton may be the best shooter in the country. So they're very, very athletic. And Tyler Smith, the transfer from Iowa, eligible right away because of an NCAA ruling. He's helped them a great deal already.
Southern Illinois with a 19-point lead inside the 9.5-minute mark of this ball game.
Chattanooga has scored 11 points in 11 minutes.
They just never let up. Green with the steal. That's 22 turnovers forced by Southern Illinois tonight. And John Schulman can tell you how good they are because he has seen Indiana and now he has seen Southern Illinois, and Southern Illinois will take on Indiana December 1st, and that will be at Southern Illinois, where they were perfect at home last year, 13-0.
And that's an ESPNU game as well.
Yeah. Just about have every game in the country. 1,050 on the ESPN family of networks this year. A 21-point Southern Illinois lead.
Notice how Falker gets his man way up by the free throw line before this play begins. He's done that several times in this game. A very wise post player. He's not a good shooter, but he knows his way around in the lane, and getting layups is the thing that he needs to do the most.
8.5 minutes left. Mullins, the point guard.
You can hear sneakers squeaking. That means they're working hard at the defensive end.
That ball knocked out of bounds, and it was last touched by the big man Carlton Fay, who's back in there despite having that left ankle injury.
He still looks like he's limping out there a little bit to me. I don't think his lateral quickness is what it really should be. Heavy brace on his left knee.
But he's showing his coach some toughness by getting out there despite not being 100%. He'll need his physicality December 1st when they take on Indiana. Remember, you've got to have depth to win tournaments like this because you play 3 games in 4 days, and Southern Illinois big on Chattanooga in this one. Welcome back to ESPNU College Basketball. It's the 2007 Anaheim Classic, all part of Feast Week on ESPNU. A banquet of college basketball. Great opportunity after these games to maybe go out, celebrate a little bit of the Thanksgiving evening, come back to Anaheim and watch some more basketball. Well, Chris Lowery has led his team to 6 straight NCAA tournaments. He was the Missouri Valley Coach of the Year for the 2nd time in 3 years. SIU really has it going. Chris Webber started the good times. He's now at Illinois.
Well, the thing about that, too, is that all of those are not conference tournament championships. You know, they've also been invited as an at-large team, which speaks to the strength of that league and their respect in the basketball selection committee's mind. Watch Falker positioning inside. You're better off playing behind him because when you front him, he holds you off and he gets a layup. If you play behind, you make him shoot a jump shot, which he's not as good at.
Mullins with the floater in the lane scores, and the lead is now 23 points.
This kid has good balance, and I think you mentioned the weight room and the strength that you see in the bodies of the Southern Illinois players really helps Mullins a lot. Had a head for the game, but he is physically strong as well.
Good move by Gwynn. Oh, beautiful pass by Matt inside, and laying it up and in is Kevin Goffney.
Shades of Bill Walton on that particular play. The no-look underneath, huh?
And he's got that moppy head of hair like Bill had in college at UCLA. Although Bill was a little longer.
Yeah, the 7-footer, and Bill didn't have any tattoos, but he was protesting the war back in those days, the Vietnam War.
And there's the jump shot by Bone. This is the guy they want to really see rip it outside. Joshua Bone, a 6'3" sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee.
I like that concept. Back-up play right there. This is what they should be doing a lot of, and had a little trouble.
Mullins clears the myth. Fine pass to Green, who bounces it ahead, and he threw it low to a post man in Falker. And Chris upset about it, even though his team leads by too many. Inside play.
The no-look pass, a thing of beauty right here. Gwynn sees his teammate along the baseline. A nice little play inside to Goffney. When you have a post player who can make passes like that, quite a way to get things going, especially if he's double teamed frequently.
You're talking about Bill Walton. John Wooden used to bring him out on that high post, and man, he would just make great no-look passes either to the wing or to someone cutting down low like Larry Farmer. 55-32, Southern Illinois over Chattanooga. John Gilman saying, man, we ran into a buzzsaw today, and one of the finest defenses you'll see in college basketball. They finished third last year behind Princeton and the Air Force Academy in points allowed, allowing just 56, and they've given up 32 to Chattanooga.
Well, I don't think Chattanooga is going to see this kind of defense in any of the other games they play this year. It's kind of a unique brand of pressure defense, not seen in lots of places.
It just has to wear on you mentally. In the second half, I would imagine you're so frustrated going, it's been such hard work to run our offense.
Right, exactly. You have to improvise against this kind of team. You can't run your stuff.
And SIU pounding them in the paint, and once again that man has been controlling the paint, particularly in the second half. 18 points for Randall Falker. That is a season high.
He's a guy who averages about 12 a game last year. Probably those numbers will go up this year. They need for him to score more. Mullins, as a point guard, has controlled this game beautifully from both sides, from both an offensive viewpoint and from a defensive standpoint.
He's like an extension of Chris Lowery on the floor.
Indeed.
Chris was a point guard. Bryan understands what Chris wants. Shaw slipped on, it looked like there was some sweat on the floor, and Matt slipped on it as he came across the screen. Not this time. Rebounding Bryan Mullins, who's been the right man, right spot so many times in this game.
When your defensive point guard can take the other guard by himself and control him to prevent them from getting into their offense, it really creates problems. It's like cutting off the head and the body dies, you know? And he's capable of doing that kind of thing. Admittedly, he's getting a lot of trapping help from Randall Falker. Right here. Falker falls down. Pass to the open spot.
But you're talking about that challenge, and how many times does a guy like Bryan Mullins, you just have to throw away the box score because it doesn't show his impact on the game.
Correct. And, you know, stats, you know, can be instructive at times, but they also don't tell the whole story, and certainly not with this team. Falker was pulled down, and that's why that pass went to no one in particular. So he's going to get a chance at the free throw line. He will be fouled a lot. He positions well in the post. And as a result, he's going to get some opportunities at the free throw line.
Well, he now has a 20-point game. He needs 4 more rebounds for a double-double. From the corner for Tennessee Chattanooga, Stephen McDowell with a rare 3. They've covered him up so well. He now has double figures with 10 points, but came in averaging 17.
Yeah, and he's had to take a lot of shots to get to those 10 points, too.
And Randall going down, and he will wind up at the free throw line for a couple of shots. Point to the wing, down low, the personal foul. That's 4 on cue. Randall Falker's family is here. Representing him, it is Ann. His mom to the left, and then Wesley and Erlene, and he has had a strong game.
Well, 20 points, 6 rebounds. The bottom line is the thing I'm most interested in. He is 10 for 12 from the free throw line. He gets fouled a lot. He positions well. Last year, Randall Falker, Steve, shot 54% from the free throw line. He's 10 for 12 in this game. This is big. His improvement from the free throw line will be dramatic. Now, if you watch, we get a close look at this. He has his whole hand on the ball. There should be some space. He uses too much of his palm, but his rotation is still pretty good. If he can get up into that 70 area, that's where you want. See how his palm is on the ball? It's really not what you want. You need some space there.
He is 11 for 14 today, and his team has a 60-35 lead over Chattanooga. And Randall comes out, much to the delight of his family. Mom and Dad, Ann and Wesley here, and Grandma Erlene. They're going to go celebrate a little Thanksgiving feast after this one and prepare for their game tomorrow. They'll be going up against Mississippi State.
That'll be a very interesting game. Both teams the same colors, maroon and white. Totally different dramatic styles.
Boyle, double, triple team, swings it around to Green. Here's Bone, their best 3 shooter, misses this time, and Dokes there for the rebound. 3 minutes to go. Southern Illinois trying to push the record to 2 wins and no losses. They won their opener against Northern Illinois by 20. And Chris Lowery had to be frustrated with that one because his team gave up 68 points.
Probably had them in the gym practicing defensive stances after the game.
Who's the best defensive coach you've ever been around?
Well, you know, there's different styles. You know, Dean Smith, when I was coaching at Duke, Dean Smith, you know, sort of invented the run-and trap, and you trap out of man-to-man defenses. Ben Howland is a great defensive coach at UCLA. You know, he's a position type thing. There's the gambling types. You know, Tarkanian was great in his heyday at UNLV. Pressure, pressure, pressure. There's a lot of different styles of coaching. John Chaney was a great zone coach, as is Jim Boeheim at Syracuse. So, but man-to-man, half-court pressure, this has got to be one of the best right here.
Chris Lowery, and he's just 35 years old, and he is a guy, I will bet you, when he was in elementary school, he wanted to be a basketball coach.
Point guard, right? You know,
yep.
He knows the game, intelligence.
There's the trap by Chattanooga this time, and dribbling free is Tyrone Green. Struggles with it, held ball situation. Well, you got to like the way that John Schulman's team is still fighting, even though they're out of this ball game down 24 with 2.5 minutes left.
Well, that's right. And I think Lowery needs to get his starters out of this game. Plays like that happen right there at the end of a game when you're ahead this many points, you don't want that to happen. But right now he is taking out Shaw, getting his top players out of the game. Obviously pleased with their performance.
They've got 2 more games in the next 3 days, on Friday, then the championship round on Sunday afternoon. Chattanooga with the basketball.
Brandon Wood guarding here. Reputation as a shooter.
McDowell with a bad shot, off balance. Chattanooga only shooting 28% in this game. Just that relentless defense by Southern Illinois throughout this contest. Only 10 field goals the entire game. Bone on the spin, misses the shot. Stephen McDowell from outside. Every single one of his shots has been contested. Chattanooga close to 40 points, though.
Well, tomorrow Chattanooga will play Cal Irvine. Just a virtual home court for them, not too far down the road. So that'll be an interesting matchup, as well as the one between Mississippi State and the Salukis.
That'll be a tough matchup because UC Irvine was in that game until late with Mississippi State.
They really did a great job on their interior. Fells was terrific.
Outside Brandon Wood, a guy they recruited from Kokomo, Indiana, to stretch that defense. He's a fine shooter.
I think he will play a little bit more of a major role as they go into the Missouri Valley. Wood's outside shooting ability will really be important for this team.
A whistle and a foul. We've got 2 more games in this Anaheim Classic tonight, as we'll see Miami take on South Alabama, and then San Diego go up against USC. Mississippi State already won their game, so they'll face number 18 Southern Illinois tomorrow. They have the semifinals on Friday, Saturday off to rest up, and then the championship round on Sunday here at the Anaheim Convention Center.
Interesting. Bill Greer, the longtime assistant of Gonzaga, of course, the head coach at San Diego now. So it'll be interesting for him to go up against USC and all of the talent on that team.
San Diego expected to finish upper division of the West Coast Conference. They're more of a veteran team than the Trojans are.
Yeah, and they won 18 games last year, you know, and Brad Holland got fired. So very interesting. They obviously want to take a step up, and this will give them an opportunity to do that. Had a nice win at Hawaii.
Chris Lowery's team with such an impressive defensive showing, holding Chattanooga to just 39 points today. Brandon Wood hasn't seen many minutes in the second half, but they haven't needed him. Now here's Bone trying to find his way inside. Has it knocked away. They've got to get a shot off because there's only 3 left in the shot clock. And there's the shot. It does not go. It's a shot clock violation. So Chattanooga will have 13.9 seconds to try and break that 40 mark. And finally we see a smile from Chris Lowery. He covered his mouth, though. Tennessee Chattanooga will fall to 1-2 on the year. Their losses at Indiana and then against another top 20 team and number 18 Southern Illinois. The Salukis will move the record unbeaten at 2-0 after they beat Northern Illinois last week by 20, and really taking control of this game in the second half after John Schulman's team played inspired in the first half, rallying back from an 8-0 deficit to actually take the lead, and they were up 16-15. And that's when Chris Lowery kind of tightened up the defense and forced the turnovers.
Well, they were down 8 at halftime. Gwynn made some nice moves when he got in there, but the intensity level and the defense really a little bit too much for Tennessee Chattanooga. And I think Schulman realized who he was going up against in his practice yesterday. Can't be happy with the outcome, but it's an experience that his team will learn from. Good respect between both of these young coaches.
Southern Illinois can flat defend. Chris Lowery, with one of the best defenses in America, pulls off the win, and they are 2-0 for, once again, our final score 63-41. For Bob Wenzel and our entire ESPNU crew, I'm Steve Physiak. Coming up on ESPNU, college football primetime, Auburn versus LSU. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.